Good day to you, Dangerlings. It's Tuesday. It's that day again. That means that it's blooming Danger Recall Day. That's right. My name is Colin. I am going to be your host for the next, I don't know, half an hour or so. Probably, maybe even less. I don't know. Maybe it's more. Who knows? I don't know. But with me, I have an amalgamation of guests. Loads of them, actually. I've got Scott Wilson-Bestgrove. How you doing, Scott?
Hey, Colin. How's it going? Lovely to be here.
Yeah, really good, man. Really good. It's a good weekend. Was it nice?
I had a great weekend. Yeah, I had a weekend that was filled with work and partying and lovely, wholesome activities after that.
That sounds delightful. With me as well, we have Wolfgang Hemingway.
Hello, Colin. How are we?
Oh, good. Thank you, Wolfgang. Good to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be. I just realised Wolfgang perhaps has a just different accent. So yeah, it's great to be here. Your studio's looking really cool, babes. I really enjoy it, and I enjoy the little cheese sandwiches you put out just after that.
Oh my god, this is delightful. I wish I might ask both of you questions actually.
Okay, you can. Great. Fun. I mean, Scott did all the listening to the episodes. I was busy listening to techno over here in the corner.
Have you ever seen Barry?
No, I haven't seen Barry. What's Barry?
It's a really, really fun show about a guy who's, and this won't spoil anything for you, he's like a hired hitman, and he starts getting a love for acting. So he just becomes an actor. It's a really, really funny show. Really, really funny show. And there's a character in it called NoHo Hank, and he speaks like that. So I just thought, that was
NoHo Hank?
NoHo Hank, yeah, it's fantastic. Such a good character.
Where's it set?
It's set in America, somewhere in LA.
Okay, fine. Just because I know there's some friends of mine call an area in London, they call it NoHo, because it's nothing like Soho and it wishes it was. And I won't say the area just in case we have any people listening to it.
Oh, mate, you're gonna have to tell me offline.
I didn't know if that was a reference to NoHo in London, perhaps, but maybe it means something else in American colloquialism.
Maybe. I mean, this guy's not from America. The character's actually Russian, so.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's just a name. Is NoHo a legitimate Russian name, perhaps?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I have done no research on that part of it. But yeah, brilliant show, man. Check it out. It's really, really well written, really well shot. It's fantastic, man. I don't know how you can get it. I think I saw it. I would never advocate this, okay? But sometimes you can find things on the internet that aren't 100%, legal.
I have heard of this activity, Colin. Yes, I've heard tell that there are areas that you can go and do these things.
I'm not saying I did that, and I'm not advocating it, Dangerlings. I'm not advocating it, Scott, or Wilson, or Besgrove, or the other person we've got with us. I'm getting confused myself now. Yeah, don't do it unless you need to do it. Okay, and if you need to do it, you probably need to subscribe to something. So just make sure you subscribe to the Danger Club podcast. You probably are, because you're a Patreon now, everyone. So round and round in circles here. Just don't break the law.
I'm waiting for the Wheel of Time show to come out, which I think by the time this comes out is actually out now on Amazon. There's a Wheel of Time show coming out. It's based on a very successful series of fantasy books that was released back in the day, sort of like classic fantasy storytelling that there is a huge cult following for. And I'm now reading the book to try and get that in before I watch the show. However, I've just found out the series is like 10 books. So I'm going to read the first book, which by the way is ginormous, The Eye of the World, and then I'm going to watch the show. I'm going to watch one book, so that's the next thing I'm watching on TV. There you go.
I'd say that's fair enough. Reading the first book is good. I mean, a lot of people have told me not to read the Book of June.
Oh, really?
And to just see the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I've never read it, so.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. It is kind of it's kind of dense, Dune. It's kind of wacky and in a fun way. I really like how they focus on the soft sciences as opposed to the hard sciences. But yeah, I recommend giving it. If you're into sci-fi, I think it's a read further down the line. If you're not into sci-fi, then yeah, fucking fair enough. Just go watch the film. Don't read the book. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I am. So maybe I should. So if you hear anything in the background, Dangerlings, there is a wall outside my house. And it's the only wall on my street, I guess, that you can kind of sit on. And every now and again, the people that work at Nando's, right, a little way from here, they come to outside my house and they sit on the wall, and you know they do a little bit of blazing. They maybe have a drink, and they spend their break just chilling in front of my house, and they make a lot of noise. But I don't mind it. I think it's all right.
For a while there, Colin, I didn't know if you said there was a wall outside your house or there's a war outside your house. I know it sounded you were being pretty chill, actually, if there was a war outside your house. Colin, was it a war or perhaps a revolution started by a particularly misguided dwarf in a city that was out to get all his friends? Was that what
there's a segue there, Scott. That was amazing. We are talking about episode 58 today, Super Splash Brothers. Obviously a take on Super Smash Brothers. Bless you, by the way.
Sorry, mate.
Sneezed. I don't know if you sneezed or coughed.
Got a little cold, didn't I?
Or coughed. Oh, you still got the cold. How's it going?
Mate. It's not going away.
Oh my God, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Like that cold is just sticking around for people. It's no mucking about. But what can you do? Yeah, Super Splash Brothers. We got music thanks to Kev. We got Sword Coast Soundscapes, Young Logos. We'd never had them before. CSY and Ross Bludgeon. And we start the episode off metaphorically and physically in deep water. Don't we? It's crazy.
Yes, we do. The splash landing. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Having just performed a dramatic escape, very dramatic escape actually, and then dropped themselves into a large body of water. That it was kind of hard for me to picture for a while, because you go like, it felt so urban, the area that we were in when we left, and then we wake up in this water, which is kind of in amongst a load of buildings, but also by itself. It takes a while for us to go like, oh no, we're still quite firmly in Caermarga, and there are buildings kind of all around us.
It's weird, isn't it? Because I tried to imagine like us falling from like we run down a wall, don't we? There's like a massive wall or something that we're running along, and then we get to the cliffs, and then all of a sudden we jump off the edge of the cliff. Yeah, you're right. It was a really hard kind of like. I think when I was in the game, I really pictured it so well. But listening back, I was trying to figure out where that big lake in the middle of this city would be. This big body of water.
Before we realise we're in the water, though, we have this little bit with MZ and his flashback, hallucination, backstory. Yeah. What's going on here?
Well, Dan's not here to explain it.
No,
but very. Sorry, say again.
I was going to say. I mean, you could possibly do explaining for us, because not only is there this stag skull boy. I mean, I had questions. When I listened back to this, I was like, oh yeah, because you also say, as yourself, Colin, on that show, you go, what was that all about with MZ? And I figure, what better time to ask than an episode of Danger Recall where I can interview you for a couple of minutes about that very topic.
All right, so the way that come about is Dan said that before then he was kind of focusing on Caragor's story. You could imagine that the first kind of section of the Danger Club really is Caragor's story, because we hear a lot about your backstory. We've got the Freya Axeborn that we meet when we first come to Caermarga before we go down to the ossuary. And he was talking about your backstory quite a bit, and we dipped a little bit into Shania's as well. We haven't really heard much about Velda's. We get to that later. And we haven't really heard much about Fulton's. Again, we dip into that a little bit later as well. And so Dan was kind of like, look, with the story, the way that it's going, I'd like to dip into MZ's backstory a little bit more. So what I did is I went back to M's story, and I really flushed it out, and I sent him just after we came out of like Uncle Gooden's hideaway, and I sort of rewrote the backstory and made it really detailed. I made it into a drum backstory basically,
right?
And like extended it to like so it was really detailed, and I sent it to Dan, not knowing what was going to happen to MZ. And, we don't need to talk about that right now, but in a few episodes' time. So Dan was like, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to kind of concentrate on that a little bit and bring MZ to the story a bit more. So yeah, that's kind of where it came about. And obviously M has been dead before. So this moment, I'm not sure, but I believe it's the moment where M died before. So when M was a young lad, he had, because remember I say in the episode, I said, was that MZ's past? Was that MZ's future? But obviously we find out what happens to MZ's future because that happens quite soon. So what happens in MZ's past is he's a young lad, and he kind of he knows his mum and dad are really well off, and they're well respected in the community, and they have this whole business, but actually he finds out that they're criminals. They're like a big syndicate of gangsters. So it goes against his whole religion, his whole ethos. So he feels like his life has been a lie, like his parents are liars and his religion's a bit of a lie. So he goes off and meets this kind of sorcerer, this person who's quite magical, and this guy's trying to teach M all about life and magic, and because M can get magical a little bit later being a blood rager.
He can.
And,
is there sorry to interrupt, but
no, it's all right.
Does M already have magical capabilities prior to the meeting with this sorcerer, or is this something that's brought out of him? Because obviously there is in these games, in these classes, it's not always the case, but sometimes they define warlocks and wizards differently to sorcerers. Sorcerers are people who have a little bit of magic in their blood already, and wizards are people who learn it. So I was just wondering where that was on the scale for M, because obviously M's not even a full sorcerer, but has some sorcery abilities. So I was wondering where that sat for you for M.
I feel like M didn't really have any magic beforehand, and then this event happened, and it the magic was kind of thrust upon him from then on. And that's where he started to pick up a little bit of magic. So, basically, this guy was a mentor to him. I've got the name somewhere. I've written it down. It's been such a long time since I saw it. And basically, a spell went wrong and M died. And then this sorcerer brought him back to life, pulled him back from the boneyard. And in turn, he died. So this mentor that M had died, and he had this whole bit of magic like instilled in his body, and that's where he became quite a dark kind of soul. And he went back to his parents. He thought, now I've lost this person, I'm going to go back to my parents and reconcile. But in that period of time, he didn't know, but his father had passed away, and so he was a broken MZ, and so he decided to go adventuring, and that's kind of where we meet him quite soon after that.
So this pact, this spell gone wrong, and the price paid, and someone sacrificing themselves so that a younger person may live, feels a little bit like there's a little element of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man coming up in that next Spider-Man film, isn't there?
I think there is a little bit. Yeah,
probably out now, I think, by the time. But also I'm listening to the description of the stag boy skull, a deer skull on a head with long, and it sounds like fawn fingers. Is that the sorcerer? This sounds like some kind of guardian of the underworld, because this is the thing. This is the person that keeps saying, not yet to MZ, and looks like they stand in between the realm of this realm and Pharasma's Q, the Boneyard. So who is that? Can you tell us? Do you want to? But I want to know. Are they nice? Are they called Darren? Are they, who?
I'd like to think they are called Darren. That's a good name for that person with the long, spindly tree fingers.
Fingers.
Do you know what? I don't actually know who that person is. Dan really never got to it, but that figure is the person that's in the boneyard that kind of, puts out the lights and puts the lights on the tree. And I think it's all to do with Yomadai as opposed to Phasma. I'm not sure. Okay. So we would need Dan. We'd need to resurrect Dan to the light before we can ask him who that figure is.
Okay,
but
so
I think it's something to do
Skull
with
Stag Boy.
Yeah.
Okay, that Skull Stag Boy is either in the books as something to do with the Yomadai or something to do with Phasma, or as a creation of Dan's. That wasn't part of your backstory. That wasn't part of the backstory that you sent.
No, that wasn't part of mine. He sort of took my death. Me saying that M's been dead before, and he sort of took that and ran with it. So
okay, that's interesting. Okay, cool. Well,
maybe we'll talk about that on the next episode, or maybe in a couple of episodes' time.
Yeah, just interesting speculation, because I love like fantasy game classes and stuff like that, and where people decide they get their magic from and their abilities from, and I think it's kind of cool and interesting, especially when that segues into what is already written either in the lore or what the DM can come up with. And I wonder if Scully Stagboy has, often with sorcerers and people like that, there is some kind of broker of their power.
Yeah.
I know they focus on that a little bit more in D&D than they do in Pathfinder, but often there is like a Fey Lord or a demon or a celestial spirit or something like that can broker some power and give to sorcerers. So perhaps the sorcerer who gave their life to resurrect MZ had some kind of deal with a tree bone spirit that lived in the boneyard, perhaps, and there was, that's why you keep seeing that when you're pulled betwixt the realms, mayhaps.
That'd be quite interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah, just to see where that character comes from, and yeah, absolutely. So when you're playing 5e, do you get a bit more control over that, or is it up to the player? Because I've not played loads of 5e actually. I've only played a little bit. So.
Oh, it's always entirely up to the player. I think that can be true of any game system. I think it depends on your play group and your session 0 and what you come up with as a team. That it just, they can be like. Someone can say, like, I just want to do this weird guy who lives in a nutshell, and a tree brought him back to life, and he's got 6 legs, and you can be like, yeah, sure, fine. And there are some playgroups that are like, I want to sow mine into the lore of this already existing world, or the books of either Pathfinder or D&D, and I want to make someone based on that. You can kind of do anything you want, but I think with backstories, I think the important thing is that they're player created. That belongs to the player. That doesn't belong to anyone else. That is their version of a bit of story that they're bringing to the table. So really, that is however it goes down is player created. Majoritively.
I suppose if your DM is good enough and knows their stuff, they can dip into whatever you've created, and they can kind of pull things from different places and go, right, okay, well that fits that. That fits that thing. If you want to live in a nutshell, have this pistachio of power, and
Pete Stachio, commander of tree spirits.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to hearing what Darren is all about. Darren from accounts,
temporary name,
and see what's going on.
Yeah.
So we dip into the water, and MZ has this flashback, and we get up onto the beach. I love this bit where Caragor, you save M by taking that potion. Was you like flicking through your sheet to find that at the time? Can
always, Colin. I'm always flicking through my sheet to see what I had and wishing I had spells. So getting potions is a nice little touch for that. That was fun. I do. It's nice having a clutch thing to solve a thing or to make something funnier, either to solve a problem or to make something instantly hilarious, and sometimes you get like a tiny bit of both. But obviously I do think about that, like, because I think we said in the episode, I'm like, well, the lungs will become bigger because you're an enlarged person, so shouldn't you mechanically get more rounds on your... Do you know what I mean? I was like, I should be...
Yeah.
But also, the I think the mechanics for drowning in both Pathfinder 1, 2 and D&D 5e are all pretty generous. They assume that you go in with like a massive gasp of air, and actually per 6 seconds you get quite a few rounds under the water, depending on your con score. So it's always quite generous anyway, but the knock-on effect of certain spells, and I love part of thinking like this. Sometimes it's really useful to do like in a chat with your mates afterwards. It's not always useful to do it in-game, because you can stymie the action, but thinking the knock-on effects of magic and spells, and you go, sure, if you enlarge that person, muscles, arms, bones become bigger, inner organs become bigger, and therefore surely the brain also becomes bigger. Do you momentarily grow more brain cells? Do you become smarter? Do you become more intelligent? If you take this, I mean, you should do, but then then the game's got to come up with all kinds of other stupid stuff to be like, if any brain cells grow, then they are redundant to the brain because they've been created by magic. Do you know what I mean? Like, it gets a bit, but still. So
does that work? The bigger the brain, the more intelligent you are, I guess, in life.
What's a good question, actually, I
Earth,
suppose,
as we know it.
I mean, elephants are super intelligent.
Elephants are super intelligent. They can't have conversations.
They can't have conversations, but maybe they've evolved in such a way they don't need to. Whereas perhaps us coming from monkeys meant we did need to verbally communicate with each other more. Is a more competitive environment? Maybe elephants live in a more chill environment, and they never had to.
Bloody monkeys, man! Bloody monkeys. Yeah, elephants. You don't see elephants like. Well, I mean, they do fight, but they don't. They don't start wars, do they?
They don't start wars. Yeah, they just chill, trying to strip leaves from branches and
be like the elephants.
Be like the elephants.
What we're trying to say.
Big brain, big brain, small brain humans, big brain elephants.
Big brains, big trunks, big ears. Sometimes, not all the time.
Not all the time.
Depends where you are in the world, but. essentially real chill.
And this was also still when we called it the bromance between Caragor and MZ.
Yeah, we did. I hadn't heard that in a while as well, and it came out, and I was like, oh my God, I've forgotten about the bromance.
Yeah.
That was great. And what about the accent, Scott? I have to ask you about the accent.
I think I feel attacked and cornered and called out on the accent.
Yeah.
I think, and also the allegations made against me and the accent after I became Cara Moore are actually, in retrospect, entirely justified. There's no reason why that accent should have changed. I felt like it was fitting for the thing, and I'm sticking with it. I think I made up a bullshit thing about vocal cords getting bigger, and therefore that's why. But really, there wasn't any good reason.
Yeah.
I will accept that from all of you guys, but not from Ross. In terms of voices changing and stuff changing on a coin, he doesn't get to ask me any of those questions. You guys can, he can't.
To be fair, in the moment, I didn't even pick up on it. I was just like, I remember when we were sitting around the table and someone was like, where's your accent gone? It was Ross, wasn't it? And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I just thought you were doing a good voice and it was funny. I was up for it. Do you know what I mean? So I think I might have jumped on Ross's bandwagon at the time. And for that, I apologise.
No apologies necessary. It's entirely fair. It's the exact thing I would have done to one of you guys. So, you know what? Fair's fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Go on.
I was just going to say, speaking of jumping on a bandwagon, I'm pretty sure Drum definitely didn't have the spell Chameleon Scales, but...
Yeah.
Just don't know anymore with Drum. At this point, we're like...
You just don't know. Yeah.
All the spells
he could pick a spell out of anything and just use it.
And you don't know. It could be one that he's legitimately got, and you feel really bad for asking him. But you kind of feel like at this point we should be asking a bit more. I mean, it's really useful. It did make sense because it sounds like something he could have used before to hide his drowiness, which was all about that for Shania, and it was important for Shania. And Shania actually had done that in her backstory, as far as we knew it, had done that when coming to the surface anyway a little bit. So seems legit. Seems legit. When I was listening back to the episode, I was like, but really though, mate? Really?
Yeah. I love this bit when Drum's like, oh, we'd be naked. We were like, no, we had a discussion about this. We were going to put our armour on underneath our suits. And he's like, no, we got naked.
Worrying how often Drum assumes all of our characters are naked. Just really chill about it. Like, oh yeah, of course we're naked. Stop making us naked.
Yeah, stop making us naked, man. What's going on? But we get out of the water. We get that fisherman, which is a lovely moment. He runs off thinking that we're, sea creatures, and goes to like, don't kill us, please. And we get that pot off of him. And then we discuss splitting the party. Oh my God. Now, Scott, in my experience, splitting the party is, it can be disastrous, can't it? In your experience, what do you feel? Regardless of what we did in the episode, like, what is your opinion on splitting parties?
You're absolutely right, Colin. Splitting the party is always a notoriously bad decision to make. These games are centered around the encounters are usually built around your total party, and there being more than 3 or 4. If you started the adventure and you only have 3 players, then you would have scaled down those encounters, either dropped a level or dropped a monster. But when the game's already in situ and then the players decide to split the party, you as a GM or a game writer or whatever has been like, well, I mean, there's already 8 hobgoblins waiting for them around the corner, and I kind of feel a bit hammy changing that now because it's the reality of the game, and so it's usually a bad idea. But yes, there are extreme situations in which you can make it work.
Yeah. And do you feel like the Danger Club made the best decision?
I do. Do you know why? Because you can get away with it when it's more of a story thing than it is a mechanical thing. If you're in a dungeon, don't split the party. There's no need. Everything's dangerous. But if you're doing story beats, yes, there was jeopardy for us this episode because we are kind of being hunted. So it could have spilled over into combat at any time. And lo and behold, it does, in fact. But most of that being story, you can be like, yes, they can go do a roleplay thing. You guys can go do a roleplay thing, and that's fine. However, your team did get jumped.
It is very exciting, though. I mean, we haven't got to the end of the episode yet, but that is really exciting when we do get to that point. Going back to the riverbank, and we're all talking about, I don't know if it's a river or a lake, but we're at the lake bank. I've never heard it called that before, but hey, we're at the lake bank. We're at the lake bank, and we're all talking about doing this. Fulton's going to go and start a riot. Caragor and Velda are going to go and deliver a message to Ica, and Shania and M are going to pick up the weapons, and also Philippe, which Shania has forgotten about.
Yeah.
Which again is an amazingly funny moment. So we talk about that, and then we go and do it. And yeah, we're the only people that kind of get jumped, apart from Fulton. Fulton has a little bit of a thing at the end.
He does.
But yeah, so we sort of, I think listening back, I should have reacted more to the curtain being twitched over the road. I feel like, I mean, regardless of that, Dan would have made a combat thing happen anyway.
That's it. I think that's it. You're always going to get, especially like I get the feeling with Dan's style of DMing, and also there's quite a few other DMs that do this anyway. And sometimes you've done it. I've done it myself, where there is a bit of a railroad fight and you're not really going to get out of it, no matter what you do. Or like if you'd have gotten away from that house particularly quickly, there might have been a running battle as the guards chased you as you moved away. You might have spotted them and then moved, but they tried to ambush you down the road. Sometimes as well, given the format, and Dan said this loads of times before, given our format and given the hour, sometimes it's nice to leave on a punchy cliffhanger thing. So sometimes, you know,
it's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes it is forced in a way that serves the narrative and heightens suspense and stuff like that. But yeah, sometimes, and it shouldn't be the way, like whenever I DM as well, like you always try and deliver like an organic world, and there's multiple situations and solutions to any possible situation, and nothing is certain because nothing in life is certain. And it's not a story, life isn't, but sometimes you just know they're getting in a fight, and sometimes that's the way it be.
Yeah, that's the way it be.
Sometimes that's the way it be.
I like this message with what's his name, Travis, and leaving the dress. I thought that was a really nice touch at the end there, just making sure that Ica still gets that dress.
Thanks.
I feel like that part of the story was a really nice way to round things off and to kind of go, look, we still bought you that dress, we still did that. And I feel like Ica's still a really big part of the story, even though she's not been around in a while.
Yeah, well, formative years of the Danger Club, and you know, one of the NPCs that we cared about early doors. It makes a big thing, you know. Kicks off over a certain reason for a right thing regarding her. Caragor obviously wants to give her this dress and stuff, and it's also with an NPC like that, it's nice to be like, we care about something other than killing bad guys, you know, like it's nice to give the characters something to do that isn't like, oh, I beat things all the time, and and I get into bickering arguments with my friends, and then you go, oh, we can show that we do something else. There is another element to, and how we all do that. Obviously, Shania's got an almost aggressive maternal streak, like a dangerously violent maternal streak, which is so protective, and that's all justified because of her backstory. And Caragor's got this other thing, like they sort of bond over the more, you know, the lifestyle kind of situation and wanting to help, you know, a young girl fight stuff, but also look good doing it. And that's, you know, it's nice to give a different aspect on things. If you're going to keep an NPC around in a campaign, then that's what people should be doing. It's a mix of DM stuff and player stuff, I think, is, you know, building the story and fleshing out characters more.
Yeah, it's real nice, that. Real nice. And then, of course, we've got Fulton across the way, and he's just met the Rat Queen, or the Queen of the Rats, with the rat shrouds that he gave loads of money to. She steps out. I like this, actually. The way that Dan sort of goes, oh, there's two guards, and they go, wait, yo! And then we think that he's being saved by these other four people, these kind of bad dudes that come out of the shadows and kill the guards. We're like, oh yes, Fulton's got some chums, and then all of a sudden it spins around on him again. It's like, hello, Fulton Battlestone, and this old woman is ready to like lump him one. Love that.
It's
double flip.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Like throw something in there. We've got you got an added complication. You know, feels a bit like a reverse heist. There's this game called Blades in the Dark, which I highly recommend. Which is a great sort of it's a pseudo noir fantasy heist game where you put a bunch of magical idiot misfits together and then go rob a high stakes poker game or a fantasy party or like an evil bank or something like that, and it's all played in heisty stuff. And there's always, you know, like any good heist movie or heist adventure, complications to a certain plan that you put down. So yeah, the Rat Queen turning up for Fulton, like, you know, obviously he's not doing a heist, but it feels a bit like, you know, because we're all assigning our tasks. I enjoyed that bit of it. Like, we're all going, right, you're going over there, you're going to go do this. We need to get the weapons. You want to see Kristoff? We're going to go see Ico and Travis. No, we're not. We're going to go talk to Ico and Travis from a distance. Fulton, you start a riot? ? And we'll all see you at the junkyard. It'll all be fine. We'll have a pint and it'll all blow over. It had that element to it, and it was enjoyable to play that out. Like, I like setting up a plan and then it kind of working with complications. I do enjoy that, which is a good payoff for if you're the DM or GM, whatever, as well, is going, yeah, you got a plan. Depending on the roles, it might work. I'm not going to take the plan away from you. I'm not going to scupper it entirely unless you mess it up entirely, because that would be unsatisfying. Hopefully, if you don't mess it up, it'll work. But I'm going to throw in a few hurdles to see how you deal with it. Because, again, that's life and that's enjoyable. So, yeah, the Rat Queen.
Very good analogy there, like, the whole Shaun of the Dead thing, because what you referenced there was really good, because they do have a plan and the plan does carry out, but they have loads of complications in between. So that's I like that. And I never thought about it that way, actually.
Yeah.
So that's good.
It's a good setup and payoff. There's another good example that I bring up all the time. I probably brought it up before, but in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, they have the plan to go get Ronan, and they have it all, and they've got to go there to pull out the power things, and and you see it play out. And although they're a bunch of idiots, the plan does actually work. They just didn't anticipate Ronan being able to walk off that cannon shell at the end in his chest. That's the only complication they had. But up until that point, everything had actually worked, and it was quite satisfying to see them go, oh yeah, it works. They're still in jeopardy, but it kind of worked. They kind of did it.
And then it was all of a sudden he's just standing there like, what? And they're like, oh shit.
Yeah, they're like,
we haven't thought past this point.
100%. And that's where the player idiocy comes in at the end, because there'll always be, especially the more people you add to it, weirdly, the plan becomes more complex, the more people trying to make it. If there's more than 4 players trying to do it, there will always be a thing that those 4 or 5 people didn't think of at the end, and that's great too.
Well, it's like doing that one sentence story thing. Have you ever done that? Where you sit around in a circle and a bunch of actors kind of go, right, we're going to do a story, and you have one sentence. So they say one sentence, and then someone takes the story in another direction, and then someone takes it in a different direction. You think, oh yeah, that's really fun. What if we carry that on? And then the next person completely flips it and changes it, and you're like, oh, no, wait, that bit was really good. Let's carry on with that story. But you can't, because it's gone into the ether, and you just have to go yes and then move on to the next.
That is a great game, actually. Good shout. I
love it.
Recommend that to the Dangerlings. If you've got the cold nights drawing in soon, if you get bored and it's raining outside and you've got a couple of people in your house, just start playing that game. Because the first few lines you might be a bit bored. By line 4, you'll be in pieces laughing, honestly.
Yeah. Have a couple of drinks as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That brings it all back. So yeah, we've got all of these things going on, and obviously we've got April Hughes with her voice note. I completely forgot about this voice note,
me too.
actually. Reading the letter, and now I remember editing it in. I remember getting the voice note from April after Dan had played it through his microphone, through the phone. He kind of sent it to me, and then I edited it in. And I remember doing that and thinking, oh yeah, that's really, really nice.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I was listening back to it again, and I was thinking, God, it's well written and well delivered. It's a perfect round off to Mikey for us, and it also feels like a really good, if it were a Netflix show, end of episode bit. Obviously, we'd see it, if it was a TV thing, we'd see a little montage as well of her going about her business of hiding her stuff and putting the knife in the letter and things like that. That'd be really cool. But I can imagine all that doing that. I remember thinking, I've got to shout April again and just drop her a text or something to say how good that final letter actually was, so well written and well delivered, really neat.
What it was as well, it was a nice little Easter egg to think, okay, well, April's not in this episode, and then all of a sudden you hear a little something more, and it's kind of like this on Danger Recall as well, because last week we had a bunch of we had a voice note from April, and to talk about the episode in the last episode, and she was like, I wonder where Big Mike is and stuff like that, and then this week to actually forget about it and then still get that little Easter egg and go, oh yeah. So if you haven't listened to the episode, Dangerlings, go and listen to that. I've spoiled the fact that April is going to jump on in there, but you can, let us know what you think about it. But that's it. That's the end of the episode. We're left on a massive, I nearly said coat hanger, but cliffhanger.
A
3-way cliffhanger almost.
Yeah, it is. I've got a couple of other bits as well that I just wanted to mention.
Yeah, do before we leave.
I just love to talk about Velda a little bit because this episode is where we got reminded back when Velda used to like using Message, and these days in the current run of episodes, he's always because it's always Carragher that brings it up, and Velda's always like, well, no, it's only got a range of like 30 meters or something. That's obviously addition differences. But back in the day, Velda's like, yeah, it's cool, man. I'll just message people, pow, message. Don't worry about me. I'm Velda. I'll message. And nowadays, it's like, no, message is a stupid spell. I can't use it. It's stupid. He used it back in the day, and also he's got the line "fish swimming in oil," which you, Colin, said you recognise, and I am still baffled by this phrase. I've never heard it since. I've never heard it before.
Do I say that?
I'm pretty sure you're like, I've heard that phrase before, and I put it out as the Dangerlings, being like, if you have, please tell us about it, like a fish swimming in oil, because I was convinced that James just made it up on the spot. So, if you're listening to this episode, Dangerlings, tell us, like a fish swimming in oil, have you ever heard that phrase before? Please tell us.
Like a fish swimming in oil. Yeah, we have it. I'm going to look it up right now. Like a fish swimming, this is great radio, in oil.
Just a really wet sound of fish.
No, it's not saying anything.
I mean, sounds like he made it up.
Nothing's coming up.
Sounds like he made it up.
I think it's another one of James's lovely, I'm going to make something up and just go with it and be so, what's the word, confident with my delivery that everyone's going to believe it.
Very likely.
He's got one of those voices, isn't he, James?
He has, he can. I don't know if you find this out because I haven't listened to 59 again yet, but I don't know if we ever find out how the guards knew which shop to watch and them finding you guys and having it staked out. I'm not sure if we ever find out the reason for that, but I was always how did they know which one to look at and stake out? But hey, and there was, I just really like when Carragher and Velda go off to deliver the message to Iker and Travis, it just felt a bit like they were Cap and Natasha Romanoff in Winter Soldier, them going around with their baseball caps and their sunglasses and trying to be really discreet in cafes, it's really hammy. I love it though. So good. I really enjoyed listening back to this episode. I can't wait for the next run. We've got a few episodes, and then Dangerlings. Then it's going to be our Christmas time very soon. It's coming up. We've got like 29 sleeps or something stupid. It's more than that, more than 29 sleeps, isn't it? It's a few more. We have got some. We're going to do some Christmas content, aren't we? We got some Christmas content. So Danger Recall is going to drop out, and then, we'll tell you the plan as we go along from here, Dangerlings. Thank you so much to my guests, Scott Wilson, Bestgrove. Thank you very much. Very nice being here, Colin, as always. Thank you. Yeah. It's great to have you here. And Wolfgang Hemingway. Yeah, so great. Yeah, I just was doing all the cheese sandwiches in the corner, and I'm going to work out a bit, and then we're going to Bergheim, baby. So let's get on the planes already. I've got my Lycra shorts. Let's go. Wolfgang, I appreciate you, mate. Take care, Dangerlings. Bye. We're waving again. We're waving. Always wave. Always wave.